Good evening. Welcome to the Coffeyville City Commission meeting for Tuesday, November 27th, 2018. Tonight's invocation will be led by Pastor John Dixon of Emmanuel Southern Baptist Church. Please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Right up to the podium, please.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you for the privilege, Lord, that we have today, Lord, to be able to be gathered. Lord, we pray that you would just be with our meeting today, Lord, as we have a big agenda. Lord, we pray that, Lord, that you would just, your Spirit would be upon us as we have the privilege, Lord, of looking over the city, Lord, in which that you have provided. We just thank you, Lord, for the many people that are here, that have been here, Lord, that are serving in this role, Lord, in leadership and oversight. We just pray that, Lord, that today, Lord, that you would just bless our proceedings, but bless all those that have come. We just thank you, Lord, for just for some of the outstanding things, Lord, that we're going to be able to witness today. And we just thank you, Lord, for the privilege that you do give all of us, Lord, with the ability, Lord, to be a part of such a wonderful and a very, very awesome place to be. We just thank you, and we just ask this all in Christ's holy and precious name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor. Tonight's consent agenda, City Commission meetings minutes for Tuesday, November 13th, 2018. 2018 appropriation ordinance number AO-18-22 in the amount of $4,260,998.84, and ordinance number S-18-04, second reading of an ordinance to allow the Coffeyville Area Chamber of Commerce to serve alcohol in the Perkins Building on December 8, 2018. Are there any questions or amendments to these first three items on the agenda?
I have none.
I have none.
Move to approve the consent agenda as read.
I'll second.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Jim.
I'll
That's all
second.
right.
Motion was made by Commissioner Williams and seconded by Commissioner Taylor to approve the consent agenda as presented. Mayor Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Doan.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda, 2018 appropriation ordinance number AO-18-228, Ishams, in the amount of $362.83. Any questions or comments regarding this item?
No, and I'd like to make I'd like to move to approve that appropriation ordinance as read.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Taylor and seconded by Mayor Bauer to approve appropriation ordinance number AO-18-22A for adoption. Commissioner Doan.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Mayor Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster.
Abstain.
We have several things in the regular agenda items under public hearings, special proclamations, and special presentations. First item on this subject is the Montgomery County Action Council update from Tricia Purdon. She will make a presentation for us.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners.
Good evening.
And I'm not sure. There it goes. Okay, great. Thank you very much for having me out. I know it's time for our fourth quarter update, and it's been a little while since we've come and given you an update of what we've been doing here at MAC. It has been one of the busiest years, I think, in MAC's history. There's a lot to do with courting one of the largest companies in the United States to our community, and that takes a lot of time and effort. So, but we have had a lot accomplished other than just courting this company. So I'm going to quickly give you an update of everything we've been doing and give you some insights into how we're going to be a little bit more strategic moving forward, knowing that we've made it so far with the Tyson project and learning from that project some of the things we did well, some of the things we probably need to improve upon, and how we're going to move forward with MAC as we continue to work on growing our county. So our 2019 work plan, this is what our board approved last week. These are the 5 areas that our board has as our mission as Montgomery County Action Council: create and retain jobs, increase the tax base, enhance the quality of life, promote economic diversity, and then, of course, make sure that we're actually running the organization properly and effectively. So our 2019 work plan for create and retain jobs, these are the 5 areas that we're going to really focus on under this category. Assisting existing businesses, making sure we have easily accessible inventory of all available industrial properties, as well as some retail properties. We're really focusing in on that as well. And we're working with all of the regional realtors to make sure that our site selection database is up to date and is fully configured so that if someone from California is looking to open a retail center or an industrial place here in Coffeyville, we have that available very quickly for them to research online. Just like you might, if you're looking for your own home and shopping online, you're probably going to look online and see what's on Realtor.com before you probably ever talk to an actual realtor. So that's why we do that. We are also going to be rolling out a new workforce development program and retention collaboration with some of the schools and colleges. We're likely going to be working with some of the churches and some of the other nonprofits in this region as well to really improve how we look at retaining, recruiting, and growing our own workforce here in Montgomery County. And then we also are aggressively marketing Montgomery County to site selectors and business prospects in the United States and internationally. And I'll get into that a little later in the presentation, how we're doing that. And then, of course, small business development and expansion. And that's probably where we had some of the largest growth so far this year is in small business growth and expansions. Increasing the tax base. We really are working to improve the promotion of RAWs. Montgomery County is already the largest user of the Rural Opportunity Zone. And in case people at home don't know what that is, the Rural Opportunity Zone program is a designation by the state legislature for certain counties that have a certain population, 50,000 population or less, that have seen population declines consistently over the past several decades. Montgomery County was added as one of those counties in 2014, and what that does is any person who moves to our county from outside of a rural opportunity zone is eligible for 5 years of personal state income tax abatements. So they wouldn't pay personal state income taxes for the first 5 years they moved to Montgomery County. And then depending on where they're coming from and how long they've been outside of the state of Kansas, they're also eligible for a $15,000 student loan forgiveness grant. So we're really looking to improve that and work with our local employers to see if they can match some of that, the scholarship program, and get more people off of that waiting list and actually through that cycle. Because right now I think our waiting list is about 36 people long for that student loan forgiveness. So enhancing the quality of life. And that's, of course, where we partner with all of our organizations, our Main Streets, our chambers, the Midland Foundation, some of those groups around the county that really improve quality of life. That's not where we focus our efforts, but we are really good partners with them to make sure they constantly have the data that they need for workforce, for population declines and trends that they might see for what they're looking at.
Trish, I didn't see, you didn't show this at the meeting the other night.
Yes, I did.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
I was back over there in the corner, couldn't see the screen very well, but I didn't remember that discussion about moving to here. I didn't remember hearing that. So
Well, you're right. I didn't go into quite the detail of the Rural Opportunity Zone.
Okay.
I know that we have
Okay.
audience members that are probably watching this on
Okay.
TV and they don't know
Okay.
what that program is. And
I got you. Okay.
I would love it if suddenly we had some new employees that might have come to work for CVR or John Deere or Acme that said, hey, I'm eligible for that. So
Right.
that was my goal with
I
that.
got
with
you.
that
Okay. Well,
that
I was
piece.
going to interrupt you in the very start and ask you if this was the same program that you did the other night.
It is. I
Okay.
adapted a
And
little
I
bit
didn't,
to make
and
sure
then-
that it really addresses your citizens as well.
I got you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then lastly is promoting economic diversity. This is where we make sure that we have a versatile group of businesses in our county. So if we have a slump like we had a few years ago with the oil and gas industry, we have the aviation industry, or we have ag equipment industries in our county to make sure that our entire population doesn't get hit with a slump if it should happen. So we actively look at areas where we maybe have some weaknesses if there is ever an economic slump and try to promote that. That's also where you talk about small business development. So you have 100 businesses with 10 employees. If one goes down, it doesn't have the economic impact that it would if you had one employer with 1,000 employees, obviously. So that's also how we promote economic diversity, is really focusing in on small business development. Oh, and I guess the last point here, and I'll go into more detail on this in a future slide, but we are working with the Kansas Department of Agriculture. They are rolling out a new strategic growth initiative, similar to what we've already do with commerce, where we build an RFP database. But what they're doing is we are going to sell ourselves in a strategic growth plan of how we want to recruit agriculture-based businesses, whether that's ag equipment like John Deere or something like that, or it's a value-added product like Tyson for poultry, or something else like a feed mill that might use our corn and produce it into another product that might be sold for a higher value than raw corn might be, something along those lines. So we're putting together a marketing plan with Kansas Department of Agriculture, submitting that to them this week, and then they will take that and market it across the world, because they're constantly traveling across the world marketing Kansas and our value-added products. So we'll be part of a package that they're going to be submitting all over the world for communities that might, and businesses that might be looking to come to Kansas. A little bit more strategic. And then administrative, we're really working on improving and increasing our private membership donations, and we're working on creating a small incentive fund, really just a small business incentive fund where we can make sure that if there's some gaps with a business that's looking to open and some of our normal loan programs don't cover it, MAC can also help with that as well. And then we're going to be completing an economic development strategic plan, which kicks off this month, and then increasing our MAC board member involvement. We have a great team at MAC, amazing members from all over the county that own businesses large and small, and we want to make sure that we're using those assets more effectively to get a bigger reach. It's just myself and Paula in the office, and so covering the entire county of Montgomery County, especially when we're starting to see some of these, the growth that we're seeing with our industries, we're going to need some help, and we already have an amazing board that can help us do that. So just a quick budget summary, and I can email this to you guys so you can see it a little more clearly. But right now we're looking pretty good with the surplus. We're hitting our goal of sitting aside. Right now we're looking at probably about $45,000 I might be able to set aside in that incentive fund for a gap financing for those businesses. But this is also the time of the year when it never fails that computers break down and things like that. So we're looking at probably that ballpark of a surplus this year. We were pretty pinch penny with our budget because we didn't know how much we were going to have to market and grow with this Tyson project. So I reserved pretty much everything we possibly could to make sure we had enough money at the end of the year. So this is our calendar for this year. We're going to do something a little different with our annual meeting and golf tournament. We went and talked with a lot of lobbyists and organizations at the Capitol this past legislative cycle, and they all said they would have loved to come to our golf tournament, but since it was in the fall, they typically had a lot of conflicts. So rather than moving it to the fall, we're pushing it back to the summer part of the year, and we're going to have our annual meeting and barbecue on June 6th, and then the following morning we'll have our golf tournament. The goal is here that we'll have several legislators from across the state actually stay overnight here in Coffeyville, create some overnight stays, which is of course what we want, and then have bigger participation from those elected officials that our businesses really want some face time with. So that's our big thing. But this will be available so everyone can put it on their calendars.
Did you guys, Trish, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did you guys have a tournament? You did you? Had a tournament before?
Yes.
I hadn't attended, so how successful was that?
It was very good. I think we had about 76, 77 golfers this last year. I think we had, I mean, it was a beautiful day, a little windy, but we had 6 legislators, a few lobbyists that attended as well, and I would like to see that number increase. There's been times where we've had 15 to 20 legislators or lobbyists, and I want to get back up to where we used to be on that. So.
And then MAC members, of course.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, we had representation from Acme Foundry, we had folks from John Deere, from CVR, from Cessna, and so all of them got to have some one-on-one time with some legislators. And I know if you talk with Lori Rexwinkle from CRMC, she got to spend pretty much the entire morning with Doug Blex, who they've had some differing opinions, but when they came away from that meeting, 3 hours of playing cornhole together, because we had a cornhole tournament on the side for those that didn't play golf, they got a lot accomplished. So I'm happy to see some really good conversations that happened at our golf tournament, and that's the goal.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. So a quick overview of where we're at. We have 12 active projects right now. Actually, add 2 to that. I had 2 phone calls today that I think we have 2 new projects on the agenda for this month now. Of course, Tyson, still moving forward. Now that we have a new governor, almost every project goes on pause until an election happens. And once she gets sworn in, I think we'll see some movement on that again. US 169, which I think Wayne is going to talk to you a little about, so I'm going to skip over that a little bit. But we've done some great things, testified in front of the legislature 2 or 3 times. We spoke in front of the Joint Legislative Transportation Task Force twice, advocating for US 169 and the 5 critical projects that we need to see done in the next 5 to 10 years in order to improve safety and efficiency along that highway. So I'm the chairman of that organization as well. So we've been pushing that pretty hard to get that done. We have 3 small business startups that have happened here in the county. We're trying to get those finalized and get those done before the end of the year. 1 new retail establishment, 4 recruitment projects, make that 6 recruitment projects, and 2 existing retention projects of businesses that were already here and are working on expansions. So that's what's currently active. And those are obviously still confidential, and we're still moving forward. There's 6 projects, however, where we've submitted to Kansas Department of Commerce that are stalled out. We haven't heard anything from Commerce on, but we submitted buildings here, most likely Amazon and Southwire were most of those 6 projects that we just haven't heard anything back on yet. So this is what we did for growing our tax base. We presented to SEK Realtors Association on RAWs. Obviously, there are frontline people recruiting people to our community, buying new homes. We fought for the Federal Opportunity Zone program, which we were able to get 3 census tracts in our county, which most other counties only got 1. So we were able to get 3 here in Montgomery County for that program. And that's a long program, which once we learn more about it, I'll come and give a separate presentation on. But it was slipped into the federal tax bill, and I was reading the Wall Street Journal one evening and saw that this was in there. And immediately talked with Governor Collier the next day, and a couple weeks later they got that out to the whole state, and we were able to get 3 of our census tracts. One of which are Coffeyville's is the Acme Foundry area, because we all know that we'd like to see if we can support Acme Foundry and really see if we can get some infill development and some housing projects done in that neighborhood to improve that area as well. So, and then we assisted Cherryville to complete their hat and presented to the HIAC for them. Or with them, and then we also completed several different workforce analysis for business prospects and expansion projects here in Montgomery County. I'll skip through some of this because it's typical what we do, but retention expansion projects, we assisted in site selection process for a local industry that was expanding here in Coffeyville, and then gave quite a bit of data out to small businesses as they were looking to improve their market share. And one of the things that we saw amazing things happen for Coffeyville is that we went with 6 businesses here to Longmont, Colorado, to the Destination Boot Camp with John Schallert. And I was the community coordinator for those 6 businesses. Debbie Carter from Carter Automotive, Simply Southern Boutique, NATO Alley, Natural Food Center, The Yoke, and Rustic Glow. And so we took those businesses there. Debbie actually went on her own and really worked on how we can improve their market share and get more people to come and shop here in Coffeyville. And then we had 2 loan applications just for Coffeyville here.
So how'd that deal go when you went out there? How'd that go?
It was amazing. It's funny, sometimes you go to all these trainings and you're like, oh, well, this isn't something I already knew. And he put the most obvious things in front of you that you'd never thought of before, but were very simple fixes. And we're already trying to see if we can implement something countywide moving forward, and had some really good conversations with John Schallert. He was in town today and gave a presentation to our community. It was a benefit of sending 6 businesses to that boot camp. He came back and gave a presentation this morning. And I think we're going to see some really great things on the horizon moving forward with that program. So I really, based on the feedback today, I think we'll probably send 6 more businesses this spring from around Montgomery County.
Great.
And I know Commissioner Van Oster was there, and if you want to go, I'll get you signed up. Try to arrange it around a commission meeting. So this is, I just wanted to show you, this is our location 1. This is how we keep track of all of our buildings and sites in the community. It is a great tool. We've looked at other states, and we're really lucky that Kansas has location one. It's by far the best location database out there. So if you're a company, you can pull up the Amazon building, find out all the data you could ever want: population, growth, housing. You can see how much retail happens in the store, what the traffic patterns are, what traffic counts are, all of this in this database. So if you're looking at a community, you can pretty much decide if this is where you want to go before you ever call me, which is the
So
goal.
what's that one called?
Location one.
Okay,
And we
so
get
I
that
can't
as
see
part
it
of our
for some
membership with
reason.
KEDA. Do what?
I can't see where it says.
Yeah, I have it zoomed in pretty far, but it's on our website,
Okay,
actioncouncil.com, under site selection. It's right there.
Got it.
It's also really handy if you are a retail business. Let's see if this laser pointer will work on a TV. Probably not. But under reports, if you're a retail business and you want to know what your retail leakage is for soda pop, you can go on into that reports and pull up exactly how many people are buying soda pop in Coffeyville and how many of them are buying soda pop down in Owasso, and where they're headed for that. So it's really interesting information. And it's all free. Talent, this is one area where we're going to be stepping it up on, and I'll go into more detail. But we've heard time and time again that workforce recruitment is critical, and we can't grow without additional workforce. So we're working with our schools, our hospitals, our colleges to improve that. And then marketing, this is our new website. It's very handy. There's demographic information galore. You can pull up Coffeyville, and it'll tell you every bit of demographic information you could ever want to know about Coffeyville in one click. It's very handy. So I would recommend everyone going to actioncouncil.com, and it's all there.
So where is that, a foundry down South Town or what? Where is
Yeah,
it?
that's a picture of Acme Foundry.
Oh, Acme, okay.
Mhm.
Got it.
And then we already kind of went into this, so I'll skip over it. But right now we have 2 restaurants and 1 brewery that we've worked with this year, 3 computer IT security system-based companies that we've worked with this year, 2 printing business services, 2 retailers, Sawyer's Fine Wine, and the other one's still pending. 1 youth-oriented service business, and then 1 self-storage business. So we did 7 small business loans this year, or 11 small business loans this year.
So
And
those,
then-
I guess I'm a little slow. Those are people we actually loan money to?
Yeah,
Or help
They're
get them
either Montgomery
loans?
County Action Council, the E-Community Program, City of Coffeyville, you have a loan fund, or we went through Startup Kansas or the Women in Entrepreneurship Program at
Okay.
the state.
Okay,
So these are our 4 big projects that everyone wants to hear about. ARCO, we did finally get a price on that at $320,000 for that building. So we're actively marketing that now that we have a price. Location 1 doesn't really let you have a building on there unless you have a price. So until we had that, we couldn't actively market it. Amazon is currently priced at $13 million, but I think we'll see something from that soon. We're still pending on that project, whether or not the buyer that hit the high bid and the auction goes forward or something else. Hopefully I'll have an update for you guys very soon on that. Southwire, it's currently priced at $5.8 million. They have a new realtor. They've done some great things to market that building. I think we'll probably start seeing some more action on that now that we have a new realtor. And the Tyson project, it's still on board, like I said. So again, overview of the Tyson project: 1,600 jobs, 400 new barns, and a $300 million new facility would be in Coffeyville. We're really optimistic that this project will happen. I don't know if it happens next year or it happens 5 years from now, but I think at this point, it's a pretty good chance that it will come. It's just a matter as to when.
eat more chicken now.
Eat more chicken. The more chicken you eat Tyson chicken. We'll get Tyson here. So this is our overview of the pictures we had from when we went and toured them this summer, which you guys have seen before, but it was in my presentation last week. So. And then lastly, quality of life with economic development. The goal is just to improve, put a region on a path to higher growth by improving the productivity of firms and people in ways that leads to better incomes and living standards for all. And that's why we do some of those quality of life initiatives. So if opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. And that's where this project, Tyson project, really made it very clear that we need to be building some doors to really get our name out there. So we hired 80 Advantage. We got a grant from USDA, an opportunity grant for $30,000 to pay for this project. And we're doing a countywide economic development strategic plan, which then can roll into your strategic plans that you might have with the community. But all 4 communities will be on the same page, and we can collaboratively work together, and everyone will be on the same page for economic development. That will also roll out a targeted industry plan, so we'll know exactly who we're targeting, and I'm not spending my time filling out RFP requests for companies that there's no chance they're ever coming to Montgomery County. So, I mean, very likely, we're never going to probably end up with Ford Motor Company with a giant plant in Coffeyville. But those plants come, and I spent, I think, 3 weeks filling out one for Toyota this last year. So we just need to know what we're doing so we're not killing ourselves working on everything that comes across our desk.
So, I guess I'm really, did you talk about this the other night at the Montgomery? I didn't.
Our strategic plan.
I was really listening, and I didn't hear about it. I'm sorry.
Well, I didn't say about how much it cost, so maybe that was the
Okay,
difference.
well, like I said, so that Andy Advantage kicks off. Tell us a little bit more about it.
So this company, they're a 3rd-generation site selection firm. Her father actually is one of the founding members of the Site Selectors Guild, which is the National Guild for all site selectors. And so she has been working with us with GRDA for quite some time, and we've gone through several trainings with GRDA that they've paid for. And after working with them, we realized that they really are, they know more about how we need to market our community and strategic planning for economic development than any firm we've ever come
Okay,
across.
so they got something to do with GRDA.
Yes, they are partners with GRDA. They do all of their work as well. So we thought it was a nice
So if they
tie-in.
help us get work, if they help us get business, then they sell electricity.
Exactly.
Okay, I got it.
But I was matched up with her actually when I went through economic development training. She was matched up with me as my mentor. So I got really lucky and got the best possible mentor out there. It just happened to be that she
great.
also
It's
partners with
excellent.
GRDA. So
Fantastic. I'd like to know more as this goes on. So
yeah,
this is
and we will
something
have
new.
yeah,
This
brand
is a new
new,
deal.
brand
Okay.
new, and you'll see more of that coming at the first of the year.
Okay, great.
And then this is the Targeted Agriculture Strategic Growth Initiative. I already went over that, so I'll skip through it. But hopefully we'll start seeing some of that come forward. I've been assured that this will still continue, even with the gubernatorial change that we'll see. So, which I think is why the December 1st deadline is here. And the last bit, I'm not going to go into the great detail about this because it's in its infancy, but we're working with our schools, our colleges, several industries, as well as Kansas Works to look at a better method of recruiting employees to our area, retaining employees, and our kids, rather than when they go off to KU or K-State and then staying up in Lawrence or Manhattan, we have a system for them to come back home and to bring them back here and to get them to where they understand what is back home while they're in school. And Coffeyville's already doing great things with that, but we want to make sure we're doing that countywide cohesively. So similar to what you guys have talked about with the county collaboration, that's what this is, but taking it to the next level, making sure MAC is kind of at the hub of workforce recruitment, development, and retention. And then the retraining program is mostly Kansas Works. We're just going to be the hub for that. And that is using some of the programs that Kansas Works has to get some of those employees who have chronic turnover issues with employers and see if we can get them back into the workforce more effectively, really hold their hand, and so they can get into the workforce and address some of those issues that might bump them out of the workforce pretty quickly: transportation, childcare, health, things like that. So this is what we've been doing this past year. We are building a massive site database for proposals. So when I have an RFP come through, we can get it out the door in 24 hours versus needing more than 72 hours to complete these. So as we've been building all these RFPs, we're turning this into a massive database. So if 5 years from now I'm not here and Mark needs to know what's going on and how we've submitted these, he'll have access to that database, and all of our city managers will have access to that database, so everyone can complete these and work as a team more collaboratively. All right. So questions? That. Try to go pretty fast. It's a lot.
Sounds like you guys are busy to me,
We're busy. We're very busy.
you know, for two people. You know, attended your meeting the other day. Our company is a member, pay dues. you know, I guess my question, Trish, is how do you feel that Montgomery County Action Council is doing as a whole, as an investment? I mean, I know you're gonna be positive about it, but in the summary, you know, and I haven't even asked, you know, my buddy Rick Thompson, for instance, and some of my business buddies, what they think. I really haven't talked, I mean, it's pretty positive, but how do you feel about last year and the next year and just summarize it for us right quick?
Yeah, so I've been with MAC now about a year and a half, and I think we've seen a lot of transformational change. I think the Tyson project gave us all a lesson in how a very large economic development project can be done and how we can do it very collaboratively and transparently with our community. I think we've done very well there, but in doing that, we've discovered some weaknesses where MAC has had some weaknesses, and I think we're really working on addressing those. You know, we need to do more for our small business, our retail businesses, and how do we work more collaboratively with retail strategies that you guys have, and taking some of that information that you all have to some of our other communities, because a rising tide raises all boats, right? So we need to work on that, and I know that. We've just been very busy, and I think that we're kind of at a point where if we can continue to grow our membership and we can get some more private investment into MAC, I think we can grow, and I can maybe get another staff member to help us. I think that's critical. We have contracted with Lisa King quite a bit with Dream On Marketing to help us with our marketing efforts. She helped us with the Tyson project, and I think that's taken quite a bit of burden off me so we can really dig in on some of these big projects that we have going on. So we're going to need some help, though, especially with this workforce initiative. And so I think that's a weakness that MAC has had, that talking with our businesses that we haven't delved into, that we're really going to hit pretty hard this year to make up for that.
Good, good. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I don't have any. Thank
I
you
don't have
for coming,
anything.
Trish.
I just have one idea. So I was at the Christmas tree lighting at CRMC, and I spoke to one of your board members. Totally wasn't planned at all, but it allowed me to have some insight into the nature of the beast of what goes on at MAC. Because, I mean, there's frustration on this end because we feel like we don't get a lot of information. But he exposed that you guys don't get a lot of information either.
Right.
So could there ever be, I don't know if there's ever has been, maybe some work sessions where our board gets with your board, kind of opening the communication there?
Yeah, I would love that. I think that'd be great. And you are always welcome to come to our board meetings. But we have them only quarterly. It'd be
Yeah.
very easy to get some of those joint work sessions in there in between those quarterly meetings. And I'd be very happy to do that.
Our board, who's our board?
Us.
The commission?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I called it a board. Sorry.
Well, and you can even break it up so it's not so large, because we have
Yeah.
33 members of our board of directors. You could have it where it's just your Coffeyville representatives and have just your Coffeyville members of the MAC board of directors come with you. So there's 8 of them, including Mayor Bauer as one of those.
Yeah.
So, and I think that'd be maybe more manageable even, having them come and participate in these.
Yeah.
And that's my goal too, is to get our board members more actively involved. And I think that'd be a
you
good way
you
to
have
do it.
a quarterly board meeting, right?
Yes, yep,
Nice big steak, like the other night.
yes. We usually have
Pretty
very good food. The Cherryville one is the legendary one though, because Tony Hawkins goes above and beyond and makes steaks,
Golf
massive
tournament.
steaks for
Got a
everyone.
golf tournament coming up.
Yeah, I'm talking about a work session.
So, yeah, so there's a gap between now and March is our next board meeting. So sometime between now and March, I would love to have one. Just need to give me some notice so Paula doesn't have a heart attack.
No, yeah, and it's just a suggestion.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great suggestion.
Okay.
We'll look into that.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you,
Trish, I
Tricia.
think you guys are doing a good job. I've said it, if I've said it once, I've said it a dozen times in the last few months, It's hard to sit on a commission and know what the city's doing. I mean, if you're not there every day, you show up here once a week, it's hard to know.
Right.
I mean, you try, but I think you guys are doing a good job. I went over there with you to Tyson and hit your board meetings and listen, and I think you guys are doing a fantastic job for the investment. I don't know how we get more bang for the buck, but maybe I'm wrong, okay? But I think we're getting a good bang for the buck with Montgomery County Action Council. That's what I think.
Well, and I think
You
it's
know.
something that's really interesting. I think Commissioner Williams brought up a couple years ago with the countywide collaboration. So MAC is the first thing that we've been doing. We've been doing it since 1983. It was a countywide collaboration.
Yep.
And you think about it, you're sharing a single staff member for all 4 communities in the county to have a single staff member to share. So paying your $25,000 a year pays part of my wages as almost like an employee, but in a separate organization. So it's a shared service, so you have 2 employees for that amount, and it's pretty beneficial to the community, so you don't have to pay a staff person here at the city.
It
that
takes a
full-time
lot of
salary.
work to get a big company, you know, courted to a city. And I mean, I personally get involved in some of that, and we see it in our corporations we work in and different things, and I know it's a lot of work. I'm glad you guys are doing what you're doing. Good luck with it. We got 2 empty buildings that we need. That's gonna bring some people,
Yeah,
some badly needed people. If we had that, you know, it'd be great. Or if we had Tyson, if we had all 3 of them, we'd be building houses and all kinds of craziness.
yeah.
But
And
anyway,
that'll be the next step, right? So,
yeah, we'll see. Thank you. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, thank you, Trish.
okay, thank you.
Next item on the agenda, the KDOT update from Wade Goodmanson.
Good evening, and thanks for letting me come before you again tonight. And thank you for the letter of support that you sent to the Secretary of Transportation in reference to the junction project east of Independence as still being a priority for the city of Coffeyville. I just feel very bad that you're the last city unit or governmental unit that I've gotten to visit and break the news to you that the project was going to be let. But if I ask the pastor, I'm sure he can tell me somewhere in that good book. I don't know the verse or the book, but it says the last shall be first. And with that said, I'll just let you know that it was just today or yesterday, I got an email from Topeka and the project has been awarded. So King Construction out of Oskaloosa, not Iowa, out of Oskaloosa, Kansas was awarded the contract. So my guess is in another month to 6 weeks, we'll probably be having a pre-construction conference and see how schedules are gonna fly.
Okay.
That is
So-
great news.
That is good.
The project will be a good project for all of us.
Yes.
160, 169.
Okay.
Cherryville, or
Okay.
it's
Independence.
Independence turn
Okay.
headed to Cherryville.
So it's the 160, so everybody knows, including me.
It's
Right up towards Cherryville.
correct, it's a
160.
junction just east of Independence, US 160 and US 169, where there've been a number of crashes.
So, right now, it's on 169,
Right.
Correct.
where 160 runs into it, comes south for a little bit, and then takes back off again. and
Right.
Goes north.
US 160 will go over 169, and then there'll be ramps to get you
wow.
northbound and southbound.
So
It's
how
gonna
big
be a
jo-
major
How
project.
big a contract is that?
It was,
Wow.
$12,045,602.12.
Wow, great.
So
Big
it was a
contract.
good sized contract. And I'm going from memory now, but there was like 330 some working days on it, so it's gonna be a 2-year job.
Wow.
We will carry traffic through construction. It
Right.
won't be like the 169 project where we detoured.
Probably need a crane or two.
Could
Thanks, somebody's
very
lobbying for some
well.
work here.
Could very well. The company that got it, King's Construction Company, I believe they're an earthwork company. I've never been around this group before. I've been around King Construction, the bridge builders, a number of times. So this will be a new company for me to work with. But kind of excited about that. And then the other last piece of news that I will give to you, this isn't really good news, but you have a Safe Routes to School project for the community elementary school. And that project has been pushed back a month. I think now it's gonna go into the March letting. So I don't know what happened on that. I just got an email saying that it's gonna be moved back.
Wayne, who do you work for?
I work for the Kansas Department of Transportation.
Okay, Kansas, KDOT.
Correct.
Kansas, okay. How many people have been you don't have any facts for the public here that how many people have, you know, died at that intersection the last so many years or anything?
No, I really don't. When I was the area engineer a number of years ago, my boss at that time tasked me with compiling a local task force just to look at the intersection. And we did some changes on it, which you could consider like a road diet. We kind of narrowed in the asphalt shoulders on 160 to make people feel like it might be narrower there, not so fast. We put up the flashing beacons and different things like that in reference, in regards to the accidents that had happened out there, the crashes. After we started looking at the data data revealed that the crashes basically were elderly, older people and young people. And I can understand that. I mean, my vision isn't as good as it used to be, and seeing that semi coming southbound,
Right.
you know, you think it might be doing 55 or 60 when in essence it could be doing 80. It's just hard to perceive that. But we did do some things at that time about the intersection, but then it got put into the T-Works projects as a delayed project, but now it will become a project that'll be built.
So it'll be 4 lanes. It'll be two lanes for a ways.
Yes,
Go in each direction.
yes, it'll be pretty much like it is right now. There'll be a small piece of 4-lane. We'll have to, you know, we'll converge the lanes on 169 in that area that are 4-lane will be in the 2-lane. It'll be pretty much like it is now as far as lane wise. 160 going eastbound and westbound will be the 2-lane road. You'll just have ramps going southbound and northbound at the interchange.
Like getting $12 million pumped into our southeast, that's pretty good. It's gotta be good. I mean, it's gotta be a nice project.
It'll take basically the thinking out of driving. It kind of looks like to me. I mean, sure, you could still have points of conflict where the ramps merge on to existing 169, you know, but somebody coming down a ramp won't be flying at 80 mile an hour. Now, the vehicle on 169 could be flying at 80 mile an hour.
Right.
But
Well, I'm sure
it'll be a
glad to
good
hear it.
project.
Yep.
I'm sure glad to hear it.
Good news.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else? Thank you very much for your attention. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, and I did have the opportunity to meet with Mark. I took a couple of my coworkers, my community affairs manager and my area engineer, had a very nice conversation with them, and I continue to look forward to the excellent working relationship that I've had with Coffeyville. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Wayne. This time we'll swear in Police Officer Michael Purvis. If you'll come up to the podium. So this is the law enforcement oath. So if you'll raise your right hand. On my honor, I will never betray my badge,
On my honor, I will never betray my badge,
my integrity,
my integrity,
my character, or the public trust.
my character, or the public trust.
I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions.
I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions.
I will always uphold the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Kansas,
I will always uphold the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Kansas,
my community, and the agency I serve.
my community, and the agency I serve.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. Chief Bromley is going to pin you. Okay. Poke you, right? Good enough. Congratulations. And at this time, we'll do a police department presentation. So tonight I have the privilege to recognize 3 individuals, all city employees, for a life-saving event that took place this past summer. Would Quid Bromley stay up here? Michael Purvis and Toby Hunt, please come forward. Quinn is the Coffeyville Police Chief. Michael is a new police officer, and Toby is the city treasurer. I'd also like to invite Kevin and Joni Midget and their sons Parker, Aiden, and Grady to come forward. Kevin is a lieutenant with the Coffeyville Fire Department. And have this whole group come right up here, please. So as I mentioned, we had a incident happen on Friday, August 17th. I'm going to take everyone through the events that happened that evening. On Friday, August 17th, during the Interstate Fair and Rodeo, Toby, who was on the fair board, was in the fair office closing out ticket sales for the evening. Let me get the microphone. I was told I needed the microphone. Sorry about that. Aiden and Grady Midget were playing in the outer office. As Toby was counting the ticket receipts, she heard Joni anxiously calling Grady's name. When she didn't hear any response from Grady, she went out to see what was going on. Grady was lifeless and turning purple. Joni was blowing in his face as he had previously had a couple of similar episodes, but that was not working this time. Toby, who was trained as an EMT, grabbed Grady and did a few backstrokes with no results. She laid him on the floor and began CPR chest compressions. Chief Bromley, who was working security on the Midway, heard the call for help from the fair office. As soon as he arrived, he began doing chest compressions, and Toby continued breathing for Grady. As Toby and Quinn continued with CPR, Grady began breathing, but it was faint. Police Officer Purvis, who had just graduated from the police academy 1 week earlier, was working inside the rodeo arena when he heard the medical call on his radio. He immediately responded to the fair office as the CPR was in progress. He took the baby, turned him over, and gave him 3 backstrokes. Grady then began to cry. His breathing became normal. By this time, EMS personnel arrived and transported Grady to CRMC. From there, he was transported to St. Francis in Tulsa, where he was examined by a neurologist and released the next day. Grady suffered no injuries during the episode. In addition to the neurologist, he has been seen by a cardiologist with nothing out of the norm to report. Tonight, we are honored to recognize Quinn Bromley, Michael Purvis, and Toby Hunt for their quick response and heroic actions. We are grateful these 3 were present at the moment of Grady's need. They had the knowledge, the skills, and the presence of mind to do what was needed. They are all 3 heroes. So in recognition for their action, Quinn and Michael will be presented with Police Department life-saving medals. I have these over here. And Toby will be presented with the Civilian Commendation Plaque.
Shake you guys' hands. I hate standing up there and not being able to do anything.
Yeah. If you don't get together once again, I'd like to catch up. Toby's dead. Everybody happy?
Hey, you get some recognition right there. You're gonna. You're gonna need a lot of help. Okay, moving into new business. Resolution number R-18-81, a resolution to execute a finding of violations and order for compliance consent with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Public Work Director Chuck Shively will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, in 2004, KDHE issued a 10-year Stormwater National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, or NPDES, permit to the City of Coffeyville as required by the U.S. EPA to comply with the National Clean Water Act. The Stormwater NPDES permit allows the city to continue to discharge untreated stormwater to the river and creeks in town, but places requirements aimed at reducing pollutants in that discharged water. The Stormwater NPDES permit was reissued for 5 more years in February of 2014, and we expect it to be reissued again in January as it expires then. The permit requires us to take certain actions to reduce or eliminate discharge of pollutants from our storm sewer system. Some of those actions required by the permit include employee training regarding pollution prevention and good housekeeping, requirements for dry weather and wet weather inspections to locate potential pollution sources, citizen education about stormwater pollution. You may have gotten something in your utility bill this month from that. Actions to reduce pollution from construction sites, including enforcement of EPA requirements for submittal of a notice of intent to discharge and a stormwater pollution prevention plan to KDHE and the city for any site disturbing 1 acre or more, and actions to reduce post-construction runoff. The permit also contains specific requirements for sampling and monitoring of pollution to Sycamore Creek from within the Coffeyville city limits, and requirements to use structural and non-structural best management practices to reduce the pollution contributed to Sycamore Creek within the city. In August of 2017, an EPA inspector conducted a 4-day audit of the City of Coffeyville stormwater program to determine compliance with the requirements. Exactly 1 year later, on August 31st, 2018, the City of Coffeyville received a proposed findings of violation and order from compliance on consent from EPA. The proposed order in its cover letter stated that the findings warrant action to ensure compliance with the Clean Water Act, and that enforcement action in the form of a civil penalty, in other words, a fine, was appropriate. On September 25th, city staff participated in a conference call with EPA attorneys to negotiate settlement of the matter before EPA filed a complaint against the city. During the call, we presented additional information relevant to the proposed violations and our responses to the proposed violations. On October 31st, we received a revised finding of violations and order for compliance on consent from EPA, which I included in my staff report. This proposed order removes some of the violations which were addressed in the conference call, and no civil penalties or fines are proposed by this revised order. By executing this document, the City of Coffeyville neither admits nor denies the findings of violation. We just agree to take whatever corrective action is necessary to come into full compliance with our stormwater NPDES permit within 30 days after the order is signed by both the city and the EPA. It also requires us to submit a written description of actions the city has taken within 120 days, and to submit semi-annual reports until the order is terminated by EPA. So I recommend approval of the resolution authorizing the mayor to execute the proposed finding of violations in order for compliance on consent. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
So what do they want us to do?
They want us to sign this saying we agree to come into compliance within 30 days. There will be no fines, and we would just have to report to them.
And what do we what do we need to do to come into compliance?
Well, several of the things were already in compliance. It was, for example, they said we did not adequately document dry weather outflow inspections. We did do the inspections as required. We logged it on timesheets. They want a specific inspection form that we use. So now we've come up with that form, they've approved it, and we're using it. So one violation is done there.
So that was just simply a clerical error.
Right. And not even really, we did what our permit said. They wanted more than our permit said. So it's really not a violation. They call it a violation. But this order, we don't admit that it is a violation. We just say we'll be in compliance in 30 days.
So if you don't follow these rules, say you got a guy out here who's not following the rules, okay, and you don't catch it, right?
Right, or we don't enforce it.
Okay, what are the fines?
I don't know the numbers, large. Other cities have been fined from this same program. And so, you know, we have to do it.
Yeah.
We have to be in compliance. They issued the permit. Either that or we stop letting rainwater leave the city, and that's not physically possible.
Right.
How many violations did we have?
We had, they called it 3 counts, which was actually a total of 8 violations. Others were similar, like they said we did not adequately document our standard procedures for site plan review. So we didn't have a written standard procedures documented and in the folders, so that we did do the site plan review, but we didn't have a standard procedure, so that's a violation. Another one, no written or practice procedures to inform developers of the regulations. We did do it, but we didn't have a standard procedures written up. Now we do. So the ones that'll be more difficult is out in the Sycamore Creek area. We know that we test the water coming in, we test the water leaving, and the pollution increases in town, as you would expect. But we need to start doing things to make that number drop. So whether we're starting out, we're already working on some things like putting stamped little disc things, I think they are, that says, you know, that this inlet drains to the creek or drains to a waterway. It's just, you know, whatever we can come up with. Others, we could go out and do some inspection of sanitary sewer lines or storm sewer lines to see if any pollution's getting in that way. We'll just have to, that's probably the most difficult one we're going to have to start on. But we just need to start showing some improvement.
So we have a plan of attack on the violations that we
Yes.
have.
And we've already started. I mean, because actually, what they're saying is we have to do within 30 days what we already were having to do. We're just having to do it with forms that they accept and start doing more on the Sycamore Creek area.
So I'm confident in our ability to get it finished.
We
But-
will.
But the 5 of us are gonna sign that we will get this all fixed in the 30 days, or we're gonna be imposed with some kind of violation fees.
That's correct.
So my request would be is, I would like a weekly update on how we progressed on getting all 8 of those violations,
I can do that.
so that we have a clear understanding on where we're at and when it will be done.
Do you want me to just put that in the weekly update I already do?
I'm fine with that, yes,
Okay.
as
I
long as
will-
everyone else is
We'll
okay.
You
add
know-
Fine
something
with that.
in there for that.
You don't see any problems with getting it done?
No, I think we can, unless they say that's not enough, but we can start making progress in the Sycamore Creek area. And that's basically what they've told us in this, is that we need to start doing more things to make progress in that.
Are you dealing with them out of Chanute?
EPA?
Yeah,
Mm,
it's not KDHE. Who you,
It's Kansas
Oh,
City.
Kansas City, okay.
So just for clarification, it may not have to be completely completed in the 30 days. We just have to show significant progress.
Yeah, I believe
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay,
We need to start making progress
okay.
on reducing, I mean, you know, realistically, we'll never stop all the pollution
Yeah.
going in from dogs pooping on the ground.
Yeah.
Well, you need
So
help,
it's
Mark.
gonna increase as it goes through a city.
What do you sign a mark up for?
You need help, Mark's got some rubber boots. Huh?
And that wasn't where I was going with my question. My,
Oh.
you know, we can address things trying to I just leave it there. I just have clerical. The federal government's the last person who needs to be dinging people on clerical errors.
Yeah.
I mean, they lose stacks and stacks of money in foreign countries, and they're wanting to talk about clerical error. But
In my position, I'm
and-
not gonna stand here and criticize the.
well, I will. I don't care.
Yeah,
But you
I think
can.
they might be listening, you know?
I don't have a problem with that because that's the truth.
Yeah.
And the thing is sometimes the truth hurts, and you know, but the thing is the other things I completely agree we need to address,
Mhm.
and I have total confidence that you guys will do that. But it kind of reminds me of a consent decree, is where someone makes a mistake and the federal government comes in and takes over a department, you know, and that's a bad taste in my mouth. So
Hey,
that's my statement for the night.
We-
Thank you.
Yeah, and I don't want you to take it the wrong way. I just want to make sure we're all
I
confident in
understand.
getting it done and we don't miss one of the,
We
I mean,
went through a
one of the
similar
8 steps.
thing on
or
our
violations.
wastewater utility
Right.
20 years ago. Ended up building a new wastewater plant, ended up replacing about a third of the collection system. And that was a consent order also. And
Yep.
we made it through it and we, you know, met their requirements and eventually they lifted the order.
I know the Clean Water Act and the Clean Air Act, I've had some dealings with it.
Yeah.
Most people do not understand it. Most people, there's people sitting right here in this room that don't understand it very well.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what you guys are doing with it. I've lived with it, had some pretty serious experiences with it. I know that, you know, they want to keep the water clean, got it. They want to keep the air clean, and they've got a system, and it's a lot of work, and I appreciate what you guys are doing for it. So,
I
anyway,
appreciate it.
thank you, Chuck.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution. Yes?
Am I correct that there is my opportunity to speak on this matter at this time?
I don't know, is that proper? I guess.
If you allow it.
Oh, if you allow it.
Well, I'm
It's up
asking,
to
is
the
it going to
mayor.
be
It's up
allowed,
to the mayor.
Mr. Mayor?
2 minutes.
Go ahead, Dad.
Well, that's,
2 minutes is good.
I can handle it, son.
Okay, go. I gotta head to Dallas tonight. I gotta be there.
Well, let's forget it. I'll just.
Okay, forget it. Good. You can talk about it in 3 minutes. Here in a while.
No, thanks.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number R-18-81 for approval.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mayor Bauer and seconded by Commissioner Taylor to approve resolution number R-18-81 for adoption. Commissioner Van Oster,
Aye.
Mayor Bauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Doan,
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chuck.
Resolution number R-18-82, a resolution to issue a purchase order to Orbital Energy Services for turbine repair, change order number 1 for electric utility. Electric Generation Superintendent Tony Lawson will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners. Orbital Energy Service perform on-site and off-site repairs on the collector rings, thrust faces, diaphragms, rotor, turbine inboard, outboard, or turbine inboard oil deflectors. These are issues that have come up from the inspection, a few of the issues. Staff recommends the mayor authorize the issuance of a purchase order to Orbital Energy Services for the amount of $150,330 for these repairs. Additional repairs will be brought to the commissioners for approval. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Looks like we had plenty budgeted for this project.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've already discussed this
We've-
last time.
Yes. We've had communication on this
Yes,
subject already, so.
communication came all week through it and also through it.
Any other questions?
I move to approve resolution number R-18-82 for adoption.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Doan and seconded by Commissioner Van Oster to approve resolution number R-18-82 for adoption. Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor,
Aye.
Mayor Bauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Doan,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster.
Aye.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
Next item on the agenda, discussion and action to proceed with water meter replacement project. City Manager Mark Hall will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, I have Jim Bradshaw here to help in case seeking worldly wisdom, but the water meter and lighting project was tabled until we came up with a solution to how to go forward. And what I would like to ask the commission consideration to proceed with the project. It is one of those that slightly has changed with the removal of the lighting. The water system improvement, or water meter improvement replacement project will include the provision of the hardware and software for the wastewater and water supervisory control and data acquisition system, which is called SCADA. And that's the acronym for it. This is a little different. It was taken off, but to make our system prepared for the future and more manageable is we brought the SCADA system on for both wastewater and water with the water meter replacement. And that scope has actually, we feel, narrowed it down, and it will be a reduced cost. At a later date, we will look at the lighting part of the project and bring that in. Right now, we're looking with KDHE as far as funding through the Revolving Fund. Those KDHs indicated, what do you still intend to do the project? And we want those funds, especially at a lower interest rate, to be available. So we will move forward with that if the commission approves. But we will gather the prices, information, the RFQs, all the work involved in this, and at a future date, that will be presented to the commission for their consideration for approval. Any documents that will be required, of course, we'll have our city attorney review. But this is just to move forward on the project, take it off the table, and start moving so we can present something to the city commission and the method of repayment of the loan. So this just gets us started again to give you something to look at for the better of our water system. So that's it, kind of in a nutshell.
Didn't we already go through this process with JCI?
Beg your pardon?
Didn't we already go
Well,
through this process with JCI?
Yeah, we
This is
Right, that's what I'm asking
the
now.
scope of it. It is one of those, we will address those things with them in the future, but we've changed that scope to include SCADA, which was removed. So that's brand new. It is I want to say, the repayment and the cost savings for the SCADA system. It makes perfect good sense to actually include that. Our system now is manually, would you say manually operated? Mm-hmm. Manually operated. it requires the manpower to do that, and it is at a constant 24/7, 365 days a year. So that manpower can be used in other parts of the city to better the city. Instead of watching the system, we still will, monitor it. But we do not have to have physically someone out there, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So that makes sense, and it's a cost savings to our system. It will have a cost, but we'll just say we will feel the benefit very quickly when we look at what we are doing now to monitor the system. So.
Questions from the commission?
Well, so right now, we're gonna pay Johnson Controls. I'm a little bit confused.
No, this is just to move forward
Okay.
to prepare something for the commission to review. It's
Okay.
just one to
Where are we at, Johnson Controls guys are here, are you involved in this conversation?
we've asked them
Okay.
to look at a SCADA system, which was
Okay.
removed, so. They're
So-
wanting to see if we take it off the table and put it back to proceed to get something to present to you.
Okay, we're gonna have a workshop or something on this?
Yes, it'll be a complete presentation. We will
Okay.
have everything for the commission to review, from even the funding mechanism, agreements that would have to be signed, reviewed by city council. Everything will be presented to the commission
What kind of
and
money are we
explained.
spending this time? What do you?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
That's
This is
part of
just-
this moving
This
forward.
is just to take it off
For
the
them to
table
review it.
and allow you to proceed so we
To
can
get
move
something for
forward.
you to review and
And
be
then
presented.
come back to us.
So when we
Okay.
take it off the table, are we gonna pay?
No. This is
Well, we got
just to
that
proceed.
$50,000 bill, that if we don't do the deal, we own the $50,000.
That'll be the question answered as we proceed.
Okay. Go ahead. Yes, sir, go ahead.
So, Mark and Jim, we met with Mark and Jim earlier, what was it, a week ago, something like that, and they asked us about the SCADA system, which we can certainly do. We have experts to do that, but with it being off the table again, we just wanted to come back in front of the commissioner to see if the whole project, the reduced scope, because all the lighting was taken out. Now it's basically just the AMI system, electric and water meters, and we even broke that out because of the revolving loan fund for the water. So it's much reduced scope, but before we spent, and we're more than happy to do it, we just wanted some commitment before we brought our engineers in to price up the SCADA system, because quite honestly, we've got a lot of money invested in it already. So we just wanted a commitment that the city is moving forward for.
I don't wanna get into this thing farther and then we don't go with you guys. I mean, I guess you guys, I guess we talked about this thing a month ago, a little bit, and then we haven't talked since.
This
Okay.
is, like I say, is what they're interested is, it's not on the table anymore.
Right.
There's a commitment to go forward to find a system for the city of Coffeyville. New meter system
Okay.
and SCADA, and that just changed the scope from what it was.
Right.
Um,
So the SCADA system will take some investigation to do, again, which we're happy to do that, and then we'll bring those prices back, and you guys make the choice on all of it, right? But,
Yep.
we just want that commitment that Johnson Controls is still on the table, and we're glad to do it, absolutely glad
How
to do
much
it.
money is it gonna take for you to investigate this time? I mean,
Not,
there were some numbers thrown out before,
right,
and I got a little uneasy feeling about it.
yeah, so,
You know what I mean?
no, I got you, I totally understand, trust me, so did we. So, but just for the SCADA system, Josh, you may know more than I do, but it's not much. It's not gonna be, we're not talking nowhere near like the numbers you saw. We did GIS audits of all the light, counted every street light, documented everything, all the meters. It was a lot of work
Right.
involved in that. So that's where those numbers come from. The SCADA system is just a matter of the water treatment and the wastewater treatment facilities, looking at it, what kind of equipment do we have, putting those numbers together, so.
As long as you know that we're looking at our options.
Sure, oh, yeah.
Right.
You're not the only option we're looking at, right? Is that fair to say?
That
Am I
could,
talking out of turn here or what?
I was gonna say that'll be determined as we go down the road. There,
Okay,
we'll be working closer
Okay.
together
Okay.
as we go forward. This is simply, like I said, to take it off the table, and they understand that it's not on the shelf anymore.
so we take it off the table, we own $50,000.
Not necessarily,
No.
no,
You
no,
don't?
No.
This
Oh.
is just to move forward to find an answer to give to the
Okay.
commission.
So if we end up going with you guys,
Nothing,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
okay, I'm a little slow,
No, great questions, great questions.
Okay.
So I want to clear that up, yeah. So,
Okay.
Yep. Josh, are you going to add anything? You want to say something? You're thinking?
Well, I haven't even had a chance to meet Mark yet, so I'm not. And
Right.
And I'm not gonna.
That's the way city business works sometimes, it's
No.
kinda crazy, you
No,
know?
I understand that. I want to be
Okay.
respectful of your time and
Sure.
appreciate you guys letting us speak. We have spent a lot of time and investment, and it'll be something that we'll want to talk about as we move forward. Frankly, of how much more we would invest if we're not going to be guaranteed the work.
Right.
So
I
that-
know
that-
it's an issue. I've talked to you guys, I've
Yeah.
talked to you
And-
guys, I've
and
talked
look,
to us guys, and it's, you know,
I understand the position the city's in. I hope the city would understand our position. We've got a lot invested.
sure.
So we're gonna need to figure out what the relationship may look like and what commitments can
Right.
be made before we'll do
Josh,
anything.
I as one commissioner can tell you, I'm over my head. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. Okay, we had you guys do this, and you know, you got us reports on how much you spent, it's a lot of money, and I'm not happy the way it went, okay? I mean, that's the way it happened, maybe it's your fault, maybe we've got some fault, I don't know, but I just wanna make sure we're not just keep messing up here, we just don't keep messing up.
Yeah,
I feel like
I
it
appreciate
just
that.
hasn't been handled just right from the start, and I don't know why, and I can't really explain it. Maybe it worked out fine, you
Well,
know?
Jim, I appreciate
But-
that. I would just tell you, I think life happened.
Right.
And,
I just wanna make sure we all understand going forward.
no, we will.
Okay.
My commitment to you and to Mark when we meet is that
Okay.
we'll have a firm understanding of who's doing what and what.
Okay, we've
what
got
we'll-
work to do, and I think Mark's had some experience in it, and I
Yep.
think we're gonna be fine, but we just wanna make sure everybody understands, and nobody's upset at the end any more than they already will be.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys coming up here too.
My only request would be is that Mark is our contact person now. Don't try to contact one of us individually because that just puts us in a bad position. So we'll work together with him, but if all the communication go to him, that would
Yep,
be
good point.
perfect.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Now, while you're here, you're gonna need to talk to Mark after the meeting?
I've got to get down to
Okay.
Oklahoma myself.
Okay, guys, safe travel.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sounds great.
I'll make a motion,
Just to proceed.
just to proceed.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm
Questions?
so confused, I don't know what we're doing. You said that we're making a motion to take something off the table.
No, you have already taken off the table at a earlier meeting. We put this project on hold and set it up on table. This is just taken off in that we can still proceed to find an answer to the scope of the project that it is now.
On a revised,
Yes.
much revised level.
If you remember, there was lighting involved. This was all in one big package. And the first thing, the KDHE revolving loan, which is a reduced interest rate, a drastically low interest rate, that is available to us, but it's not available to lighting. It's not available to the lighting part. So we moved that from this project. One thing to lessen at that time was the SCADA system was removed to lessen the amount. As we look forward and go to that, it's a business decision. In other words, we're spending a lot on manpower to watch our system, whereas it's a one-time cost to go to SCADA. So that'll monitor our system, whereas we have that manpower cost every year. Every year.
Okay.
The SCADA
Okay.
system will be a
So-
one-time cost.
Go ahead.
And I completely understand what what we're doing and what we're voting on.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm talking about is I'm confused procedurally on, you mentioned that we're taking something off the table, and the motion that was, I thought the motion to proceed on that thing that we did earlier in the year was a dead project. So we're not taking anything off the table, we're just simply voting on this.
This to proceed with and it has the water meter system replacement and to include the SCADA system.
But the thing that we did,
The lighting thing is still
That's-
back there.
that thing is dead.
Like,
In a
I
sense,
think what we did, Chris, was we asked to put it on the table for the new city manager to come in, give his perspective, and see if he had any ideas. Because it was such a large amount of money, we didn't want to proceed in the transition.
But what this would do is, in a sense,
Yeah, I think that
you're
does
just
sound right.
picking off a new project that was up on the table. It had a bunch of stuff. What you're doing is saying, go forward and proceed with the water meter replacement and to include the SCADA system.
With Johnson Controls.
So,
That's not,
No.
that's not determined.
right, and that's
Okay,
where
okay.
So I'm on board with what Chris is saying. I think this should be a whole new project by itself,
Yes.
And
and
that's
not relate back to the other one.
And that's what I want to
No.
clarify, because
Yeah.
the thing is
We are-
from my recollection, and help us, because it varies from day to day, but from my recollection is that project was tabled indefinitely. And then you made the mention that we're taking it off the table. I don't want to take that off the table. I want to proceed with this, and it has to be proceeded with procedurally correctly, or somewhere down the line, we're going to run into hiccups.
And I think if we have here, the motion is to proceed and with the water meter replacement project. We can add to that, which is if you look in your request city commission approval to proceed with the water meter replacement project to include the provision of hardware and software for the wastewater and water SCADA system. And I think that would clear that up.
And I'd like for you to repeat that motion.
Okay. Staff requests city commission approval to proceed with the water meter replacement project to include the provision of hardware and software for a wastewater and water SCADA system.
You guys have any other questions?
Well, I do. I got a couple of things to say now. We're kind of getting down to brass tacks now.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should have a workshop, if that's the word, with city staff that knows Jim and, I don't know, Chuck and whoever's involved as far as the engineering side. Maybe Mike, of course, maybe, I don't know who, but these guys, we got a chalkboard, we got a room, we do it back here, it's gotta be an open meeting, whatever, I don't care. Whatever's proper, and talk about this thing.
The thing that we don't know is the SCADA system. That's what they were talking about.
Yeah, but how are we gonna proceed forward with Johnson Controls? And
Johnson Controls.
how are we gonna slice and dice this thing? Is it gonna be a package, or are we gonna, you know?
If there's anything, either documents or anything like that, that'll be brought to the commission, but right now, they don't even know.
Okay.
What they wanted is to.
My one comment is that I want to pursue someone besides Johnson Controls also.
We can.
I'm saying we will, or because I'm not, at this point, I'm not okay with Johnson Controls being the only ones that gets a bid on this. Because
that can be done. And
I know there's more of a history behind this whole situation than
Yes.
just this right here. So
Yes.
that's why I'm asking for, that's why
Yes.
I'm making this request.
Yes,
You
and
know,
staff will
I
do
know
that request.
When I went over there to that KM Kansas League of Dowson building, the last two meetings, they had booths set up all over. I brought back 25 pounds of stuff, and I laid it out on the table. And Jim came over, and I think Chuck came over. All these people sell all this stuff, and it's just a lot of stuff. And when I came back from there, I wondered, you know, do we want to package this, or is it different packages? You know.
That's what, in a sense, and to answer the mayor's question or statement, that is what we were trying to determine.
Yep.
Is because Johnson Control will, as they know we are seeking to find an answer, they will sit there and have to sit there and say what they would want to do.
Right.
And that is going forward and saying, we do need other bids in this process.
Yep.
So
Well,
that's what we're trying to get to
I
a point
understand.
to.
I understand.
Yeah.
When we start talking about this, and the only person we have in house is Johnson Controls, the perception is we've already decided who we're going with. If we
No.
pursue something along these lines, and
No,
I just
that's-
want to be
this
clear
is
that
to find an
Yes.
answer to where we want to go.
yes,
And would that be fair, Jim? We're going to go down this. If there's any decision-making,
Well-
that's when we bring it to the commission to do a presentation.
Well, can we do it in the form of a meeting instead of this Tuesday night meeting?
Oh, yeah, we'll have a work session.
We have a work
This'll
session.
long drawn out.
Okay,
The
good.
public
Okay.
will be invited, but
Okay.
we'll present, how
That's
things
great.
work.
This thing's big enough, I mean, it was what, 5.5 million, okay? I mean,
That's
it's-
why the scope was
Yeah, I
brought
know,
down.
but, okay, I got it,
Yeah.
I'm good now.
No,
I'm
no,
good now.
then
We
those
talked
are-
about it, I'm good now.
All right.
Everybody's good.
Specifically what Mark said earlier to the motion. What you read it.
Did you make that as a motion?
That
Okay.
was my motion. I
Okay.
just didn't want to repeat it.
Okay. I've got it.
I'll second.
I understand.
And thank you, Commissioner. That is, we'll clear that
Yeah.
and make that statement, and that
Yeah.
is correct.
And it should reflect in the minutes.
Yes.
The motion was made by Commissioner Williams and seconded by Commissioner Doan to proceed with the water meter replacement project to include the provision of hardware and software for a wastewater and water SCADA system. Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Commissioner Doan.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster.
Aye.
Mayor Bauer.
Aye. Discussion and action to proceed with establishing the Rural Housing Incentive District in Coffeyville. City Manager Mark Hall will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, first I'd like to thank you for the opportunity. I know that you want great things for the city of Coffeyville. You've instructed me and given me ideas to pursue, and tonight I've given you just for reading in the future is the subject of the RHID. I'll go through, but this is just something to take home to look at. It's available on the internet in a different form from this, but it kind of explains what the RHID is. And I will just go through and do a brief kind of overview of what it will do for the city of Coffeyville. And this, again, is just to proceed. There's legal work that would have to be reviewed by city council. It is one of those that would have to be approved and established by the city commission. This is just to start moving to get something to formally present to you. And I'll go ahead and kind of give you quick overview. Staff requests commission consideration for the approval to proceed with establishing the Rural Housing Incentive District in the city of Coffeyville. The Rural Housing Incentive District, RHID Act, provides cities a program to assist developers to build housing in rural communities by assisting in the financing of public improvements. By establishing the RHID districts, the city of Coffeyville will have an incentive tool to making housing development in the city of Coffeyville more attractive. The RHID is a tax rebate incentive for new housing development. As with all tax incentives, the incentive will not affect property taxpayers. We are currently collecting raw land property taxes, and those taxes will still be collected. The incentive allows the developer to receive a tax rebate assistance on horizontal costs. In other words, the infrastructure, land acquisition, these kind of things associated with the development. And that's through the tax rebate. They will pay their taxes in, and they will receive that rebate. It is a maximum, and I'll say it here, it's up to 15 years that they can recoup. It automatically stops either when they receive the dollar amount that they invested or the 15 years, whichever comes first. And then that entire property goes on the tax rolls, and the city gets the property taxes. So it's attractive too. There's other things that we're going to bring in the future that you've instructed me you want to growth. You're forward thinking as the future of housing is a key. These things are available for cities. Okay. And you know, I appreciate your wisdom on the direction of going this way. We will.
Wisdom.
Huh?
Our wisdom?
Yes, your wisdom. But you want great things. You want great things for Coffeyville. Yep. And this just is just to proceed. There is a legal work, these kind of things that would have to be presented for the commission in establishing the RHID. It will be one of those that you can expand this in the future, and it'll be through the Department of Commerce, that you will notify them that if you want to add on another district and move your way around the town, we can do that. We send them notice, their approval comes, and then it goes through the Board of Tax Appeals. And that's because when we do this, they're going to want that tax rebate. Right. So it's a legal thing that our city attorney will guide us, but this is just to proceed to give you something to look at. Okay.
I'd say this sounds very similar to what the county has already implemented, correct?
Well,
the county implemented something very similar to a 100% for 5 and 50% for 5. They had up to a 10-year tax rebate.
Rehabilitation. This is new construction.
I thought theirs was on new construction also.
They can include that, right, but the rebate is limited to 5 years. This goes out 15 years.
Okay.
And this is for, we'll just say, ideally, multifamily, anything from duplexes, triplexes, you know, quads, to apartment complex. This is ideally, I have been in a development that actually did, because you will go to the appraiser for future value of what we're doing. They will review it. It is one of those that I have seen individual homes, but they are cookie cutter.
So this says renovation on page 1.
Huh?
It says renovation on
new housing and renovation.
Well, that's on theirs is, where are you?
That was on page 1 of your RH.
They don't have page numbers on it, but I thought it was the front page.
What the renovation is of an area. In other words, you can go into
Renovation of housing in area.
an
rural
area,
areas.
the renovation of a housing in rural
Okay,
areas.
okay.
Yep. All right, I
So,
follow you.
That's what they're referring to is we could, what you will want to do is maybe where there's blight or something
Okay.
like that, set up a district.
So is this something you did out there in Liberal?
Yes, sir.
Went over well.
Yes.
Developers
Yes.
really jump on this.
Yes, and there'll be something that we'll be bringing to the commission that will make it even more attractive.
We know that's one of our gaps that we have.
Yes.
Is
that
our housing.
Your wisdom is to do what we can for the citizens of Coffeyville, and that means development or, economic development.
Yep.
Development and
forward.
renovation. That's what we
Yes.
need.
Any other questions from the commission?
I want to talk about it later, but I don't have time tonight. We'll be talking about it later.
I'll move to proceed with establishing the Rural Housing Incentive District in Coffeyville.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mayor Bauer and seconded by Commissioner Van Oster to proceed with establishing the Rural Housing Incentive District in Coffeyville. Commissioner Dunn,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster,
Aye.
Mayor Bauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye. Discussion and action proceed with application for the Rural Transportation Assistance Program. City Manager Mark Hall will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, staff requests the City Commission consideration for approval to proceed with the application process for the Rural Transportation Assistance Program, otherwise called RTAP. That is a federal program established and funded by the Federal Transit Administration in Kansas, where rural lifestyle prevails and mobility in that environment is uniquely challenging. The Kansas RTAP program provides significant and specific support. Kansas RTAP's focus on stimulating mobility in rural areas is also integral to the development and implementation of KDOT's vision for a statewide system that connects people through an existing exciting mix of transportation options, giving Kansas the economic and quality of life advantage while keeping our state clean and beautiful. The city of Coffeyville will benefit greatly from this program if the application process is successful. Fixed bus routes will provide mobility for Coffeyville citizens. Fixed bus routes will also provide safety for Coffeyville citizens that are attempting to cross the river bridge on their way to Walmart. Fixed bus routes will be designed to destinations ranging from medical care to shopping. College students will also benefit from the improved mobility. The fixed route buses and demand transfer vans will be furnished by the federal program. Operating costs for the program will be either 80-20 or 75-25, with the city of Coffeyville funding 20 to 25%. Part-time bus drivers will be needed. The hours of operation will be determined by the city of Coffeyville. If successful, the program will grow with Coffeyville's needs, and at some point, the city of Coffeyville might expand its routes to other communities. To sum this up, this is a program that grows with our city. There is a need for mobility. What makes this unique is it is a fixed route system. So in other words, during our hours of operation, we will be at a bus stop at the same time every hour to pick up residents. And we will move them through the system. There will be bus routes. There will be where we will stop and at what time. And give an example is in one of our bus routes, should it go to Walmart, we will be at that time every hour to drop them off and pick them up. It will, and this hour operation could be as much as 10 hours of operating. The hospital has expressed their need. The demand transfer is handicap vans. And those vans, we get 24-hour notice. Our drivers will go pick them up, take them to their appointment, and then return them home when they're done. But that's a 24-hour notice, but it does. We can make this is great. KDOT, in fact, Commissioner Doan, this was one of their suggestions to a situation we have with the bridge. But it is good for the community, and I know you're aware there are a lot of people that do not have, you know, automobile or transportation, and this would get them to shopping, like say to the hospital would be, to the library would possibly be a stop. These things will be incorporated to make it beneficial for the citizens, and it'll start out usually a feel to get a feel. Like I said, that Liberal has an RTAP program that moves about 45,000 people a year. Garden City moves around 70 to 80,000 people in a year. And with 21 passenger buses, it's a lot of movement and a lot of bus routes, but we will grow with that.
So obviously it's going to start slow, right? What did, I mean, give me slow. One person, one day?
No,
I mean, how did your experience with it?
We'll do an awareness program. If everything goes in the application process, we'll do awareness. There will be maps. We'll have where they can pick up. We'll have drivers, where the buses start. We'll get out and inform. We'll talk to civic groups, churches, this stuff, making everybody aware that what a great thing that you've done to increase mobility throughout our city. The good thing is if things in the future expand, you will have the opportunity to have a bus system that will go to your industrial park. That will be a designed route. And it is one of those, as the future goes, in which KDOT does like to see this, we can actually expand to other cities. The only thing is we have to go there twice a day, and that is because if we take somebody over, we got to come back to pick them up. But you have independence. These things which, you know, the lack of a hospital, we could get them over to Coffeyville and get them back home. So there's a lot of flexibility in this, and it does where you can go out and sit there and go, I get on the bus and I can stay on that bus and be exactly here 1 hour later. So it's kind of a unique program.
Jim, do you have a question?
Well, I don't, like I said, I'm short on time tonight, and this meeting's getting, you know, pretty long. But you come back, but there are people out there in TV land that are probably saying, well, how's this paid for?
That is, and that will be the commission. You do have a ride share fee. We will try to keep that reasonable for riders, but those help with that 20 to 25%. But if you look in the grand scheme of things, the bus drivers and the oil and the gas.
20 to 25% on the city.
Right, but the government, what the people need to know they're listening is the government pays for some of that.
75 to 80%.
Buses are paid for totally by the government.
Yeah, and I don't know that they knew that, did they? Did they have a way of knowing that?
He read it.
He read it.
Oh, did he read that?
Yeah, he read it.
Okay, I didn't hear it.
And then the 20 to 25% is just on operation, oil, gas, insurance, and we'll say drivers. There would be part-time, but it is one of those. We encourage retirees too, but that will, in the grand scheme of things, that if you sit there and say, just the operating, and I'm making up a number, was $100,000, our cost would be 20 to 25,000, and then we would get the fares to help offset that.
Right. Okay.
I think it's very good.
I do too. I've actually had a lot of people ask about this.
And
'Cause
this is
it's
the-
circulating the area of
Right.
that it's a potential, and there's been a lot of interest, especially Walmart. You know, the River Bridge.
Oh,
I mean, I drive that thing twice a day, at least twice a day, and at 5 o'clock in the morning, driving over that River Bridge, and it's hard to see somebody walking, and you'd be surprised how many people are walking across that bridge at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I see one a week at least, and that's just me. I can imagine how many are actually doing that.
All through the day, 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
I do want to remind the commission that all documents, all approvals will come at a time, just like the previous, the RHID, is it will be presented for commission's approval. That's when you will make the decision. This is just to move forward, to start the application process and those as we go down.
No,
I want to say something. The conversation started, obviously it's beneficial for a lot of reasons, but the conversation started when Commissioner Williams was talking about the bridge and how many calls they get in about people getting hit. There was a gentleman, walking home a few months ago that was hit. I spoke with probably 10 people at KDOT, and every possible scenario to do something to the bridge was just way out of the ballpark of our financial ability. So I wasn't going to leave there without an answer. So then we went to a walking trail. That also was expensive because it has to go over the river. So then it came to, well, what can we do to help those individuals that are walking? So that's when they brought up this program, and it just so happened that Mark had it in Liberal as well. So, it struck some conversation, and we're just bringing it back now. But, it primarily got started with the safety consideration of our walkers.
And
I didn't know that. I'm glad
I think
you know
it's-
that.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew there was some conversation, but
Yeah.
this has a lot of light to it. Thank you, appreciate you guys. And everybody involved, that's great.
And I think this is a wonderful thing for us to be able, if we can get this going, to offer to the community and be proactive of the things that, like Commissioner Williams brought up about the safety and so forth, and our concern, and another great quality of life thing we can offer for those that have trouble, that don't have anybody to get people around. And that's
Intercontinental,
wonderful.
didn't they call it the Intercontinental?
Interurban.
Interurban, there you go.
Interurban.
Interurban on wheels.
I will say Wayne, that was here earlier with KDOT, is a big supporter. This will actually be you will be the first city in his district, which is District 4, is to have this program, if we're successful.
Right.
But he was in our conversations, when he talked about he came down and visited, it was because of a result of the visit to Topeka that they were contacted, and he was excited about being involved in this program for the future. And he said, this is the first RTAP program that we have. It's not to say there's not a bus out there, but this is the first RTAP program through KDOT in District 4. So
Good.
Great.
Coffeyville's a first if we're successful.
Well, I'm excited, so I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to move to proceed with the application for the Rural Transportation Assistance Program.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Van Oster and seconded by Commissioner Williams to proceed with application for the Rural Transportation Assistance Program. Mayor Bauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Dunn,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor, Commissioner Van Oster.
Aye.
City managers report.
I'll keep it short, and I apologize, commissioners.
Don't apologize.
What?
Well, I'm
You got
sorry,
places to be.
I'm sorry, a little long-winded, and I apologize for that. I do want to thank the commission. You have great dreams for this community, and it is one of those, I want you to know, staff truly believes in you and the citizens of Coffeyville. We've had a SWOT analysis, strength, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats. It was conducted by staff. They are so knowledgeable about this city. And the true result of the meeting is they want to move and lead Coffeyville through your direction to someplace else. They want to take it forward, and they're committed to it. They believe in it, and I was very proud. You got a great group of people. So I'd like to thank staff for all that they do, and thank you for the commission to leading them that way in the future. So if there's any other questions, please. One thing just popped in, contained in your packet, if you'd like to discuss, or we can set up a time, is some information about the meeting.
Yep, I read through that.
If it would like, we can set up a work session. We can set up, there'll be other things.
Okay.
Something with the commission. In fact, I might even try to squeeze in if you would have a shortened version of analysis that'll play into our strategic plan. But it is, if you would like to do that, look at it and we'll talk and set up a time that's convenient to you, and then we can sit there and discuss, because there's different ways we can attack, you know, the citizens' comments and doing things in the future.
Good.
Okay.
All right,
All right,
that
thank you.
sounds good. Very good.
Okay, so I just saw this.
Yes.
I ran in, as you guys know, I got here at the last minute, okay?
I haven't looked through mine yet either.
Well, we haven't looked at it. So the public, is this available to the public, right? There's gonna be a lot of people
Yes,
asking questions
this
about
is
this
on
deal.
a site.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's on what?
This is on the KDOT website.
Okay. So if they wanna know about that, the bus deal, it's on the Kansas website. And of course, they could talk to you or whoever, but
Yeah,
I didn't
you're
see,
welcome.
we had a bunch of stuff sitting here, I just saw it, so.
Yep.
That's good,
It's there.
okay.
Good? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you're,
Comment-
they buy these buses, and Kansas supplies them.
The federal program, federal buys the buses and the vans. They will stripe them, they will put your
Wow.
city logo on those, and those are furnished at no cost. It is one of those that as the program goes on, if those are retired, the city has the option to retain them or sell them. But it is one of those that the vans are also, the demand transfer vans are furnished.
Yep.
The only thing
Okay.
that we come into play is our percentage in the operation,
Got it.
Right.
Okay, good enough.
okay?
This time we'll open comments from the public. The public is free to comment on items not listed on the agenda. Please address comments to the commission as a body and be mindful of others who may also wish to speak by limiting your comments to 3 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Debbie Sharp. I live at 1402 Willow Street. This last Saturday, about 3:30 in the morning, I heard sirens coming down my street. I step outside, a block and a half from my home, there was a severe fire. We saw several police cars, the fire trucks, the EMTs. My grandson and I walked down there and we watched them in action. You don't appreciate these guys and everything they do until you actually see them working. We had South Coffeyville, we had Deering, and we had Coffeyville. I found out there was also some of our Coffeyville police officers that were off duty. They came in to help the other first responders. They were driving the ambulances. They were helping to load all the victims. We've lost 2 out of it now.
But I feel, you know, people say, well, that's their job. No, it's not just their job. They've got to have the calling in their heart to get out there and do everything that they do. So I can say I'm actually proud to be a citizen of Coffeyville after watching our first responders do everything that they were doing, because they looked like they were reading each other's minds. I mean, no one stopped to ask anybody, what do I need to do? They were like a ballet. I mean, they were just automatically everybody doing what needed to be done. I mean, our police officers, normally you see them directing traffic. No, they were pulling hoses off of the fire trucks and helping to actually combat the fire from outside. They didn't go in the building or anything because they weren't equipped to do that. But they did stand outside and try and keep it clear so the firemen could rescue the victims that were all inside. And I just want to thank them, and I think everybody needs to thank our first responders. You know, whenever you see them, you know, people know who they are. You know, our sheriff department, you know, everybody. They all need to be thankful because they're putting their lives on the line for us.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Do you mind if I give a quick shout out?
Sure.
I was where I probably shouldn't have been on Wednesday afternoon last week, was it? Got a call from my wife or a text from my wife saying that the water was out. And it was out, I guess, right around our neighborhood. And there was quite a river running down Buckeye Street. But those guys worked till, I think the water was restored at 2 or 3 in the morning. And I appreciated the fact that those guys worked Wednesday evening, Thanksgiving evening hard. And I'd just like to publicly thank Chuck and
I believe it was
Jim
5
and
in the
their
morning.
departments
Yeah.
for what they did to restore water service to us.
Yeah.
We had 22 people in our house, and it was kind of important to have water.
I bet it was. For more reason than one,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Yes.
I could go on too. I stopped down there on Willow the other day, and one of the city guys one guy was there by himself and had a big old hole, and he was down in there. It's amazing it really is. They work hard for the dollar. I see it all the time with them. I really do. So.
Charles Weed, 207 West New. I know there's been a lot of talk about the 3 minutes on the comments. I look at it this way. If they can't get your attention and get you to add extra time, they don't even deserve more than 3 minutes. You know, some people want their 15 minutes of fame every meeting, whether they deserve it or not, or they want it for a political agenda. I say keep the 3 minutes. You can always give them extra time if it's something worth listening to. Thank you.
I agree,
Thank you, Charlie.
We've been talking about it.
Thank you, Charlie.
I guess we're gonna be talking about.
Anyone else?
Yes.
I don't know if we're in a kill hurry, but I would like to get it done. I think we kinda got it figured out what we wanna do.
We'll sit down and
Sit down.
discuss it, and we'll get a plan, and we'll get her done.
I think we
Any
talked
other-
about 3 minutes, and then we have to give them some more time if we
Beat the
want.
gavel at 3.
Yeah, well, that one little town I was telling you, they have
Timer?
the city clerk, I believe, has a timer.
Yeah.
Somebody's got a timer, and they set it, and when it comes up, then they give them a warning, you got 1 minute, and at the end of that, you gotta.
Adjourned. Okay. Any other comments from the public? Seeing none, we'll open this up to comments from the commissioners and staff.
I don't have any.
I don't either.
Yeah, only thing I wanted to repeat exactly what Paul said and what Debbie said. You know, that was gonna be my last comments because she saw the fire on Willow, but there was also one on East 5th. You know, so our fire department was super busy on Saturday, and so kudos to everyone. I'm not gonna go through the list of departments because it touched everyone. You probably touched every department in the city of Coffeyville at some form or fashion between the water outage on Wednesday and the fires on Saturday. Between electric, I had to pull meters, and then everything else. So kudos to everyone involved in that whole situation. It was bad events, but I think we performed top notch.
And I want to follow that. I was going to say something. I had a note to say something, but I never could have said it as well as you did. So I just want to thank you for coming up and saying it. You really did a great job. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Other comments?
Nope.
Make a motion to adjourn. Chris.
Motion was made by Mayor Bauer and seconded by Commissioner Williams to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.